The priorities are rescuing people from those places, and we are hoping to go across with boats to get to some of them in the course of the next day or two. That's the first thing. Secondly, safe water, medical supplies, food to wherever they are, so that they can actually get back on their feet. This is just for the emergency phase. This is for now. We then will move to an interim phase when we are looking at the humanitarian consequences of this appalling act, which includes the fact there are up to 700,000 people without safe drinking water, the fact that there are mines which are now floating. It's one of the most highly mined parts of the world, as you know, there. And so we will be looking at livelihoods, safe water, health, especially for children. The third phase will be to look at the economic and environmental consequences. And that, I'm afraid, is going to be the most awful shock for the people of Ukraine, but also for the global South, because it's bound to have an impact on global food prices, because that area is a breadbasket, and it's almost certainly going to be destroyed for any near-term harvesting. We have developed over this period of this appalling war very, very strong relationships operationally, both at the Kyiv level, but also, crucially, at the oblast level with governors. And I myself was in Kherson and Mykolaiv just before Christmas, meeting local authorities. And we've been working with them to provide humanitarian aid throughout this period. And that's continued. So yesterday, 2 convoys went to Kherson to deliver aid. We've reached about 30,000 people so far, another convoy today. So the engine is moving. The World Food Programme is bringing in boats, launches, small launches, some of those Sherps, I think they are, to get people safely out of harm's way. But the UN has a system managed out of Geneva in my office for disaster relief. And we saw it in the Syrian and Turkish earthquakes, where these teams of specialists, search and rescue teams, go to places exactly of this kind to find where people are, to identify priority needs, to coordinate assistance. If that's needed in this circumstance in Ukraine, we will certainly be more than willing to mobilize that assistance. The idea that you would have been going through more than a year of war, a war which has come and gone across that river in Kherson, as I know, because I have been there too, and then suddenly to be woken up in the middle of the night by this blast and that torrent which takes away any reasonable future that you might have hoped for, damages lives, destroys lives and livelihoods. Under these circumstances, the message from the world is very simple. We stand by you at this time of need. We're there for you. Our obligation globally, and the community that I'm responsible for, is to tell the truth about needs and to have clear ideas as to how those needs can be met urgently. That's our obligation, and then to deliver on that, of course. We're not in the business of managing the other consequences of a war. I understand the President's frustration, and I understand it partly because he's a man of great empathy for his people, and he saw the needs very visibly. So I have no problem with that. What we focused on was trying to get the response moving as quickly as possible. Khartoum is desperately dangerous and desperately in need of such assistance. We now have extensive contacts with both militaries to make suitable arrangements for movement of convoys. That's the first thing. Secondly, Darfur. We've agreed a cross-border operation from Chad into Western Darfur so that we can actually begin to see the level of needs and the level of suffering of the desolation and the violence that's happening in Darfur as we speak. So Darfur, getting a humanitarian operation into Darfur to those people who've had nothing now for 5 or 6 weeks is very, very important.